Hello, and welcome to another installment of Critics and Cars Getting Home. This is Doug.
And I'm Sarah.
And we've just come from an advanced screening of KNEECAP at the Hollywood Avondale. KNEECAP, if you haven't heard about it, is about the story of an Irish rap group. And it may or may not be true on any level. I can definitely confirm that the group exists.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
I would say it's definitely true on every level, and I think more important than just saying it's an Irish rap group is saying that it's an Irish rap group based in Northern Ireland who rap in the Irish language, and that's what's so amazing about the film. I mean, the rap and the music and the performance and everything is amazing, but the whole point of it is that it is their own bullet of rebellion towards the British occupiers who said, you will not speak the Irish language. And so the story is about these two. I thought they were brothers the whole way through. It turns out they're besties, aren't they? They're just best friends. Who are raised by a Republican dad played by Michael Fassbender, who is of course Irish, German Irish. Anyhow, to speak their language and to retain their mother tongue. And so these lads, and they're such like, it's like Train Spotting, isn't it? It's like
so much like Train Spotting without quite being as dismal.
Yeah. It doesn't descend into
energy
drug abuse, but
of,
it does.
The energy and joy of it. I mean, it's when I say how much of it is true, I do think that there's some various obvious kind of
artistic license.
Yes, artistic license taken. But first of all, the music is phenomenal, I thought. And the combination of these two young lads and a music teacher who happens to make beats, who winds up crossing paths with them, is one of the more adorable
Meet
buddy
cutes
comedies.
In a way, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
A wonderful premise. And speaking for myself personally, as a teacher, and as a former English teacher, it's your dream to find a kid who writes amazing lyrics and to be able to go, hey, have you thought about actually, making music out of this? Which is what this English teacher does and did in real life, and became the sort of honorary third member of this rap group.
Well, not even really honorary. He makes all the beats.
Right. Yeah. He's literally the DJ for this amazing Irish language rap group.
And I would say that even if you didn't like the music, which, I can't imagine why.
I can't imagine why you wouldn't.
I mean, if you're constitutionally opposed to hip-hop, I suppose. But short of that, I just still think it's made with such verve and energy.
Such panache.
So drunk on cinematic possibility
really,
all the time. Just stray bits of animation.
Yeah.
I tend to get bored with drug sequences in this film. And spoiler alert, they do a lot of drugs.
You mean you tend to get bored of drug sequences in films generally, not in this film. Yeah, that's right. And I'm like you.
Yeah, and this one manages to make every one of them work.
Absolutely, that is so true. Because sometimes films will just do, we're going to get the protagonists high, and then we're going to show from their point of view. And
we're going to swirl the camera or something,
right.
Or have people. And even though they do some of the things that maybe we've seen before, I just went with it,
Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, it's somewhat of a comedy. It was in a big room, all that sort of thing.
It's somewhat of a comedy. It's like a big time comedy, but everybody in it is playing it straight faced.
Yeah, well, there's also some life and death stakes at points, and also some really dark stuff at points. There are scenes that are not remotely comic in it.
Have you met Taika Waititi? Okay, sure, fine. But anyway, yes.
Yeah.
So it's super fun. But I have to say the protection of the language, the indigenous language, is really. I mean, obviously, it hits a chord for those of us in Aotearoa, New Zealand, particularly at a time when our government is trying to out a lot of te reo Māori, and one of the subtitles at the end explains that I'm pretty sure that it says indigenous languages are dying one every 40 days around the world.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Which is horrifying.
Right before they shout encore and go into a joyous hip hop track. Spoiler.
That's right.
But I mean, it's a movie with a message, but it is also probably. It may be the most fun I've had at a cinema this year. I'm trying to think of a more fun film.
Wow.
I mean, no. Well, I mean, seeing my own was fun. But,
I've had fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I had fun at Grand Theft Hamlet, but this is not a Critics in Cars about Grand Theft Hamlet, but it could be.
Should we talk about The Apprentice? Because people can actually see that. Although I don't know when this will go to air. But just because it's the other Man
Go
movie
for
we
it.
saw this week.
We got time.
Sure, yeah. So
We're still on our way home.
We're coming home from the Hollywood, so it might be a while.
So the other film that we saw this week, actually we've seen a couple, but the other one is The Apprentice. You won't believe who that one's about.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Donald Trump. And spoiler alert, I did not want to go see this movie. I am for some reason people confuse me being American with wanting to keep up with Donald Trump, which, no. But yeah, I saw this, watched the trailer right before I said no, and I got something out of it. And I'm like, I think I'll give it a look, and I quite liked it.
Okay.
So it's as much about Roy Cohn, who worked with Nixon and was a dirty tricks kind of guy, taking a young
lawyer.
Donald Trump, a lawyer, yes.
Basically a corrupt lawyer who will go to any length to achieve success. Which
Few of them legal.
And you can imagine, so the clever thing about the name of the film, The Apprentice, is it is about Donald Trump, whose famous TV show, obviously, is The Apprentice. But in the film, he is the apprentice to Roy Cohn, this very experienced, corrupt and ruthless lawyer, who teaches him how to become the Donald Trump that Donald has become.
And it's quite bracing when you first see Donald Trump in this film as a young man, as played by Sebastian Stan, because we're so used to his persona.
Yeah.
And seeing that not
Quite
in
fully
place,
developed.
Just being
yet,
somebody
mix of it.
who's the low status character in a lot of scenes and not sure how to assert authority.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the film is almost gradually constructing the myth.
It is. It's gradually building. Well, it's not a myth, is it? It's gradually building the persona that becomes the Donald Trump that we know today. And Sebastian Stan does a terrific job, to use one of Trump's favorite words, does a terrific job playing early young man Trump, as you say, a lower status character who nervously flicks that hair all the time, but is and purses his lips in a way. And there's a couple of little there are a couple of bits of intonation that Sebastian Stan totally nails right through the film that kind of give credence to the idea that this is very much Trump and Trump from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
That he then develops further, so that in the latter parts of the film, and let's be honest, the film is in no way a whole biopic. It doesn't have the time. It doesn't even get us up to the Apprentice TV show, let alone
it doesn't even get his book written, and the final scene is
certainly there's
near
no
the end.
Melania
That's just
or
starting
anything like that. And these are not spoilers to tell you that, you know, it's based around a particular relationship, actually, or couple of relationships in Trump's earlier life, but in a damning way that sort of, as we say, lays the scene for the man, the monster, the not myth.
One of the things I really liked about it, which is a bit nerdy, but you're here, so you probably are used to it, is that the 70s New York stuff is all shot in 16 millimeter, it looks like. If not, it's incredibly emulated. And they have all the stock footage of New York at the time, and the match is just stunning, the way that it cuts between
really
that,
good.
and you're just so immersive. And you see sometimes, like I remember when we saw Living, it started with some of that old British footage, and then suddenly they took the grain away, and it's like, oh, now we're in modern footage. And it just stuck with that, and it almost does that during the video part. It can't bring himself to use quite as bad lenses and the really poor resolution, but they try to make it look a bit video
of the 1980s.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you know, Sebastian Stan, it's not an SNL performance,
no,
which is a good thing on every level, because ostensibly it is a drama and not a but he doesn't really look like Trump. His face isn't like Trump, even though they do certain things. So really it becomes the mannerisms and the intonation, and it becomes an evocation of Trump, actually, and he does a good job.
But we haven't mentioned Jeremy Strong yet.
Oh, Jeremy Strong, hello.
And that is a perform. I mean,
he plays Roy Cohn.
Yes, and you'll know him, of course, from
Succession.
as Kendall Roy. And from the first frame, he is such a recognizable face.
Yes.
And yet he is instantly, and not just because he's aged up a little bit, but he is instantly of a completely different status, a completely different
voice,
different everything. And just the small moments he makes with this very complicated character who's super powerful, and for some reason takes this young man under his wing, also has other secrets. But yeah, I just whenever I kind of even just had a moment where I might drift, and I just suddenly catch a moment of Jeremy Strong making a very small performance choice that was super powerful and interesting, and it was always like you never you could just look at him the whole time and it would be great even if you didn't care about watching the film.
Yeah,
is what I mean to say. Yeah, and Maria
Yeah.
Bakalova, who plays, it's sort of those
Ivana
are the three
Trump.
leads. Yes, and Martin Donovan, who is unrecognizable as Donald Trump's dad, and again does a voice that I've never heard him do before.
Look,
So
I think
yeah,
it's
really an
important
actor's
to say.
showcase.
It's important to say that, or it'll come as no surprise, that there's a certain arm in the US who were very anti the film coming out because it doesn't paint Trump in a good light. Because how can it? It's important to say it's been fact checked up the wazoo, and so some of the really stuff that you see in the film is based in fact, and to that end. And this isn't a massive spoiler, and you may know a little bit about Trump's family anyway, but his dad gave the kids a really hard time. And I think in a way it's quite sympathetic because Martin Donovan plays Fred Trump, and Fred Trump, by all accounts, was a dreadful man and a dreadful father. So it's not looking to make you sympathetic about Donald Trump, but I think it's really important that it shows us the environment he grew up in and it's that hurt people thing. Yeah.
And also you see that you also get a bit of sort of the sense of Trump not being this standalone outlier of the Republican Party, but how he fits into this whole Nixon-Reagan establishment that has gone on through this whole time, and how this is all part of a larger history and not this unique moment that it feels like maybe from the distance in watching U.S. politics. Okay, well that went in a whole different direction than we started.
That's right. Two very different films, both completely political. Both very well done.
Yeah, very different in tone, but both worth your time. If you had to pick only one, though?
Oh, I think KNEECAP.
Yeah, same. But, why pick only one?
Yeah, go see both of them. Keep the cinema going alive, everybody.
Sounds good. See you next time.